Anya Christina Emanuela Jenkins, 20 years old. Born on the 4th of July, and don't think there weren't jokes about that my whole life, mister, because there were.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer wasn't just a show about cooling vampires. It was a revolution disguised as teen drama, a series that rewrote the rules of television while pretending to be just another WB network experiment. But behind the stakes and the witty banter, nothing was what it seemed. Careers exploded and imploded, egos clashed until sets became war zones, and one creative decision nearly destroyed everything before it started. These are 20 secrets about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, hidden for decades. The bonus? A prop that became worth more than anyone imagined.
It started getting weird around here.
Are we having a nightmare?
You threw a
Many
knife.
horror movies where there was that blonde girl who would always get herself killed. I started feeling bad.
Before the television series existed, there was shame. Joss Whedon wrote the 1992 Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie with high hopes, a script that mixed horror and comedy and feminist empowerment. Then, Hollywood chewed it up and spit out something unrecognizable. Director Fran Rubel-Kuzui turned Whedon's dark comedy into campy nonsense, ignoring his vision completely. Kristy Swanson played Buffy as vapid and superficial, missing the entire point of the character. The movie bombed critically and financially, but worse than that, it humiliated Whedon. He'd failed to protect his creation, watched helplessly as executives and directors destroyed what he'd built. That failure haunted him for 5 years, festering into obsession. When the opportunity came to revisit Buffy for television, Whedon saw redemption. This time, he'd have control. This time, he'd do it right. The television series became his revenge against everyone who'd dismissed his vision, proof that Buffy could be profound and popular simultaneously. Every episode was a middle finger to the people who'd ruined his movie, a demonstration that he'd been right all along. The show's success didn't just vindicate Whedon, it transformed him from struggling screenwriter into one of television's most influential creators.
Understands the character better than anyone.
Nah. Really?
Sarah was...
When casting began for Buffy Summers, producers expected to find a blonde cheerleader type, someone conventionally pretty who could fake toughness. Sarah Michelle Gellar walked into the audition room and terrified them in the best possible way. She was small, barely 5 feet tall, but she radiated power and danger. She didn't play Buffy as a victim learning to fight back. She played her as a warrior who happened to be trapped in high school. Gellar had been working since childhood, most recently on the soap opera All My Children, where she'd perfected the art of delivering emotional gut punches in single takes. She brought that intensity to Buffy, refusing to soften the character's edges or make her more likable. Whedon saw it immediately, the steel underneath the blonde hair, the rage hidden behind teenage insecurity. Other actresses played Buffy as someone becoming strong. Gellar played her as someone who'd always been strong, but was only now discovering how to weaponize it. The role was hers before the audition ended, and everyone else who'd read for the part became irrelevant. What made Gellar's casting even more remarkable was her commitment to the physical demands. She trained for hours daily, learning martial arts and fight choreography, refusing to let stunt doubles do the work. She wanted audiences to see Buffy's face during every punch, every kick, every moment of violence.
A clean slate, Buffy. That's what you get here, even if it says...
an episode outline from Buffy.
Buffy premiered in March 1997 to modest ratings and mixed reviews. Critics didn't know what to make of it, this weird hybrid of teen drama and horror that refused to pick a lane. The WB network, struggling to establish itself against bigger networks, was losing patience fast. After 5 episodes, executives held a meeting to discuss cancellation. The ratings weren't terrible, but they weren't good enough. The show was expensive, the tone was inconsistent, and focus groups reported that the vampire slaying premise felt gimmicky. Whedon fought desperately to save it, arguing that audiences needed time to discover the show, that word of mouth would build if given the chance. He promised the season would get better, that episodes 7 through 12 would deliver everything he'd been setting up. The network gave him an ultimatum: finish the season, but if ratings don't improve, Buffy dies. What saved the show was Angel, Episode 7, where Buffy's boyfriend reveals he's a vampire with a soul. The emotional complexity of that twist caught fire with audiences, ratings jumped, and suddenly people were talking about Buffy as something special instead of just another teen show. The WB reversed course completely, renewing the series and eventually building their entire network identity around it. But that near-death experience never left Whedon's mind, the knowledge that 5 episodes in, everything almost ended.
No danger of finding those here.
Vampires?
Controlled circumstances, however.
I know. Well, carnivals are just.
Buffy became famous for destroying relationships on screen, but it created one that lasted off-screen. Allison Hannigan played Willow Rosenberg, the shy nerd who became a powerful witch. Alexis Denisof played Wesley Wyndham Price, the bumbling watcher who eventually became a dark, tortured hero on Angel. They met during Buffy's 3rd season when Denisof joined the cast, and the chemistry was immediate. But neither acted on it initially, both professional enough to keep personal feelings separate from work. The tension built slowly, friendly conversations turning into longer talks, casual hangouts becoming something more. By the time Denisof left Buffy to join the Angel spinoff, they were inseparable. Their relationship stayed mostly private, neither wanting media attention or tabloid speculation. They married in 2003 in a small ceremony, and they're still together decades later, one of Hollywood's rare success stories. What made their romance even sweeter was how it contrasted with their characters' relationship on screen. Willow and Wesley barely interacted, existing in separate storylines with almost no connection. But Hannigan and Denisof found each other anyway, proving that sometimes the best relationships happen when you're not looking for them. The Buffy set became famous for drama and conflict, but it also created this: 2 people finding forever in the chaos. Number 16, the musical episode Nearly Destroyed. The production.
Action!
Once More with Feeling, the musical episode from Season 6, is considered one of Buffy's greatest achievements. But creating it almost broke everyone involved. Joss Whedon wrote all the music himself, composing songs, writing lyrics, creating elaborate musical numbers that required weeks of rehearsal. The cast was terrified. Most had never sung professionally, never danced on camera, and suddenly they were expected to carry an entire episode through musical performance. Sarah Michelle Gellar practiced obsessively, working with vocal coaches for hours daily, terrified of embarrassing herself. Allison Hannigan cried during rehearsals, convinced she couldn't sing well enough. Anthony Stewart Head was the only one with musical theater experience, and even he felt overwhelmed by the complexity of what Whedon demanded. The production schedule was brutal. They rehearsed for 3 weeks before shooting, then filmed for 2 weeks straight. 14-hour days of singing and dancing and trying to maintain emotional authenticity while hitting choreography marks. The budget exploded, the network panicked, and crew members worked themselves to exhaustion. But Whedon refused to compromise, believing the episode needed to be perfect or it would be laughable. When Once More with Feeling finally aired, it became legendary, spawning sing-along screenings and soundtrack albums, proving Whedon's instincts were right. But the cost was staggering, physically and emotionally draining everyone involved, leaving scars that took months to heal. Number 15, Nicholas Brendan's alcoholism nearly got him fired.
It's just a temp gig, Buff. You know, unless it takes. Since you're not union, I had to...
Probably.
Nicholas Brendan played Xander Harris, the lovable everyman who provided comic relief and heart. Off camera, Brendan was drowning. His alcoholism started early in the show's run, drinking to cope with anxiety and depression, using alcohol to quiet the voices, telling him he wasn't good enough. At first, it was manageable, drinking after work, showing up functional enough to perform. But by season 4, it was spiraling. Brendan would arrive late, forget lines, disappear for hours during shooting days. The cast and crew knew something was wrong, but didn't know how to help. Whedon pulled Brendan aside multiple times, offering support, but also ultimatums. Shape up or you're gone. The network wanted him fired, arguing he was costing too much money in delays and reshoots. Whedon refused, believing Brendan deserved a chance to get clean, that firing him would destroy him completely. Brendan went to rehab during hiatus, came back sober, and managed to hold it together for a while. But the addiction never truly left, returning in waves throughout the show's run and continuing long after Buffy ended. Years later, Brendan spoke publicly about his struggles, owning his mistakes and trying to help others facing similar demons. But during Buffy's production, it was a secret everyone carried, a ticking time bomb that could have exploded and destroyed everything at any moment. Number 14. Charisma Carpenter was fired. While pregnant,
You're really campaigning for Bitch of the Year, aren't you?
Charisma Carpenter played Cordelia Chase from Buffy's first episode through 4 seasons of Angel, transforming from shallow cheerleader into a dimensional hero. Then she got pregnant, and Joss Whedon destroyed her career. Carpenter discovered she was pregnant during Angel's 4th season and told Whedon immediately, expecting support and accommodation. Instead, Whedon was furious. He'd planned a specific arc for Cordelia, and pregnancy ruined it. Rather than adjust his vision, Whedon rewrote the season to punish Carpenter, putting Cordelia into a coma and sidelining her completely. When season 5 began, Carpenter wasn't invited back. She was fired without ceremony, without a proper goodbye for a character fans had loved for 7 years. Whedon never explained publicly, never acknowledged what he'd done. Carpenter stayed quiet for years, afraid of being blacklisted if she spoke out against one of Hollywood's most powerful creators. But in 2021, she finally told her story, describing years of abuse and manipulation, how Whedon called her into his office to berate her for getting pregnant, how he made her feel worthless and disposable. Her statement opened floodgates, other Buffy cast members confirming similar experiences, revealing that Whedon's feminist reputation was a carefully constructed lie. Carpenter's firing wasn't just cruel, it was the first crack in Whedon's armor, the beginning of his eventual downfall. Number 13. The show pioneered serialized storytellings. On network TV,
Morning.
A season 7 episode called Lies My Parents Told Me. And it's really, really...
Before Buffy, network television was episodic. Every episode reset, characters never changed, storylines wrapped up in 42 minutes. Buffy shattered that model completely, creating season-long arcs where actions had consequences and character development mattered. Whedon called them big bads, season-spanning villains that gave the show structure and momentum. The Master in Season 1, Angelus in Season 2, the Mayor in Season 3, each one building toward a climactic confrontation that made the entire season feel like a novel instead of disconnected chapters. But more than plot, Buffy tracked emotional evolution. Willow's journey from shy nerd to powerful witch took years, her confidence growing incrementally across dozens of episodes. Xander's insecurities, Giles's guilt, Buffy's depression, all of it accumulated and compounded, creating characters who felt real because they changed the way real people change, slowly and painfully. Other shows noticed and started copying the model. The Sopranos, The Wire, Lost, Breaking Bad, all of them owe debts to Buffy's serialized storytelling. Whedon proved audiences would invest in long-form narratives if you gave them characters worth caring about and stories worth following. The show didn't just entertain, it changed how television worked, proving that network shows could be as complex and layered as prestige cable dramas if creators were brave enough to demand it. Number 12. Michelle Trachtenberg was only 14 when she banned from being alone with Joss Whedon.
I'm out of here. Riley and I are going to the movies.
Okay, have a good time.
Michelle Trachtenberg joined Buffy in Season 5 as Dawn Summers, Buffy's mystically created younger sister. She was 14 years old, a child working among adults, vulnerable and dependent on those around her for protection. At some point during her time on the show, something happened. The exact details have never been made public, but the result was clear. A rule was implemented on set, written and enforced by the cast and crew. Joss Whedon was not allowed to be alone in a room with Michelle Trachtenberg. Ever. An adult had to be present at all times. This wasn't a suggestion or a preference. It was a mandate, a protective measure taken to ensure Trachtenberg's safety. For years, nobody talked about it publicly. The rule existed in whispers and careful supervision. Everyone on set aware, but nobody willing to say it out loud. Then, in 2021, when Charisma Carpenter's statement broke Whedon's carefully crafted image, Trachtenberg confirmed the rule's existence on social media, revealing that something had happened to necessitate such extreme protection. She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. The implication was clear and devastating. The show that pretended to empower young women had failed to protect one of its youngest cast members from its own creator. Number 11, Seth Green left because of a creative disagreement.
I love that character. And if there was...
Seth Green played Oz, the stoic werewolf who became Willow's first love and one of the show's most beloved characters. Then, in season 4, he was gone, written off abruptly in an episode that left fans devastated. The official story was that Green wanted to pursue a film career, that he'd outgrown television and needed to move on. The real story was uglier. Green and Whedon clashed over Oz's storyline, specifically the decision to have Oz cheat on Willow with a female werewolf. Green felt it betrayed the character, turned Oz into just another guy who couldn't control himself, undermined everything they'd built over 3 seasons. Whedon disagreed, arguing the storyline created necessary drama and pushed Willow toward her eventual relationship with Tara. The argument escalated, neither willing to back down, and eventually Green walked. Whedon let him go, rewriting the season to explain Oz's absence and moving forward without one of the show's most popular characters. Years later, both men downplayed the conflict, Green returning for a guest appearance in season 4 to give Oz a proper goodbye. But the damage was done, a relationship that could have been iconic cut short because creative visions couldn't align. Oz deserved better, Seth Green deserved better, and fans who loved the character were left with an ending that felt rushed and incomplete. Number 10. Amber Benson was never made a series regular, despite being main cast.
The wacky notion of spells, conjuring, transmutation. Oh yeah, then we could...
Lovely. It doesn't always happen that way on shows, so...
Amber Benson played Tara McClay for 3 seasons, appearing in over 40 episodes, becoming half of television's most important lesbian relationship. She was the main cast in every way, except the one that mattered. Benson was never made a series regular, never given opening credit billing, kept on a recurring contract that paid less and offered 0 job security. The reason was calculated and cruel. Joss Whedon knew from the moment he created Tara that he was going to coal her. He'd planned her death before she ever appeared, a shocking moment designed to destroy Willow and push her toward dark magic and villainy. Making Benson a series regular would have cost more money and, worse, would have telegraphed Tara's death to savvy fans who understood that culling series regulars required bigger narrative justification. So, he kept her in limbo, guest star status that could be terminated whenever the story demanded it. Benson didn't know she was doomed. She thought if she worked hard enough, delivered strong enough performances, she'd eventually get promoted to regular status. She gave everything to Tara, creating a character so genuine and loving that fans adored her immediately. When Tara died suddenly in season 6, shot by a stray bullet meant for Buffy, the outrage was seismic. Fans accused Whedon of the bury your gays trope, cowling a queer character for straight character development. Benson was devastated, learning her fate only weeks before filming, realizing she'd never had a chance. Number 9. The attempted rape scene almost got the show canceled.
You hurt? You're not moving so well.
Get out.
Season 6, episode 19, Seeing Red. Spike attempts to rape Buffy in her bathroom, a scene so brutal and graphic that the WB network nearly pulled the episode from airing. Whedon wrote it deliberately, wanting to show that Spike, despite his chip and his love for Buffy, was still a monster capable of monstrous acts. The scene was difficult to film. James Marsters and Sarah Michelle Gellar both struggling with the material, both feeling sick, performing something so violent and violating. Marsters later said it was the worst day of his professional life, that he felt like he was actually assaulting Gellar, even though both knew it was fiction. When the episode aired, the backlash was immediate and furious. Fans who'd shipped Buffy and Spike felt betrayed, unable to reconcile the romantic figure they had loved with the attempted rapist on screen. Advocacy groups criticized the scene as exploitative, arguing it used sexual violence for shock value without properly addressing the trauma. Whedon defended it as necessary character development, proof that Spike needed a soul to be worthy of Buffy's love. But the damage was done. Sponsors threatened to pull advertising. Parents' groups demanded the show be moved to later time slots, and the network seriously considered cancellation. The show survived, but the attempted rape scene remained controversial, a moment that divided fans and critics, that some saw as brave storytelling, while others saw as gratuitous trauma porn. Number 8. Joss Whedon rewrote the series finale. The night before filming,
My soul.
Chosen, the Buffy series finale, was supposed to be perfect. Whedon had planned it for months, written multiple drafts, refined every moment. Then the night before filming the final scenes, he threw it all away and started over. The original ending had Buffy sacrificing herself again, dying to save the world one last time, a poetic bookend to her journey. But sitting in his office at 2 a.m, Whedon realized it was wrong. Buffy dying again wasn't revolutionary, it was repetitive. The point of the entire series was that Buffy shouldn't have to die, that the system forcing one girl to carry the world's burden was fundamentally broken. So he rewrote the ending completely, creating the scene where Willow's spell activates every potential Slayer simultaneously, sharing power instead of concentrating it, democratizing the calling that had enslaved generations of girls. He finished the new script at dawn and brought it to set, telling the exhausted cast and crew that everything had changed. They had hours to rehearse completely different scenes, to reimagine the finale they had been preparing for weeks. Sarah Michelle Gellar was furious, having prepared emotionally for a death scene only to have it yanked away. But Whedon was certain, and his certainty carried the day. The rewritten finale became iconic, a perfect thematic conclusion that transformed Buffy from a story about one girl's sacrifice into a story about collective empowerment and smashing patriarchal systems. Number 7. The show's budget was so low. They reused the same graveyard,
Everything just for your protection. Sit there. I just need you to walk.
Buffy fought vampires in the same graveyard for 7 seasons. The same tombstones, the same mausoleums, the same fake trees rearranged slightly to create the illusion of different locations. The show's budget was notoriously tight, the WB network refusing to spend money on what they considered a risky genre experiment. So production designer Carrie Meyer built one graveyard set and used it for everything, rotating camera angles, changing lighting, adding fog machines to hide the repetition. Fans noticed but didn't care. The graveyard becoming iconic precisely because it was so familiar, so unchanging. What made the budget constraints even more challenging was the show's ambition. Whedon wanted movie-quality action sequences, elaborate monster designs, practical effects that looked real instead of cheap. The crew worked miracles with nothing, creating demons out of latex and imagination, choreographing fight scenes that looked expensive through clever editing and committed stunt work. Every dollar was stretched until it screamed. Every episode a negotiation about what they could afford versus what the story demanded. Actors wore the same outfits across multiple episodes because the wardrobe couldn't afford variety. Special effects teams built monsters that could be reused and redressed for different episodes. The graveyard set became a symbol of the show's resourcefulness, proof that creativity mattered more than money, that limitations could inspire innovation rather than mediocrity. Number 6. Emma Caulfield hated playing Anya and wanted out.
Jenkins, 20 years old. Born on the 4th of July, and don't think there weren't jokes about that my whole life, Mr. Because there were.
Arrows here, how funny the guys.
Emma Caulfield created Anya Jenkins as a scene-stealing force, the ex-vengeance demon whose blunt social awkwardness provided some of Buffy's funniest moments. But Caulfield was miserable playing her. She'd trained as a dramatic actress, wanted to do serious work, and found comedy frustrating and limiting. Anya was supposed to be a recurring character, a few episodes before moving on. Then audiences loved her so much that Whedon made her a series regular, trapping Caulfield in a role she increasingly resented. She asked to leave multiple times, begging Whedon to write her out, to kill Anya or send her away. Whedon refused, believing Anya was essential to the show's dynamic, that Caulfield's reluctance actually made her performance better, because the frustration fed into Anya's own feelings of being trapped in human form. The relationship between actress and character became bizarrely meta, Caulfield feeling imprisoned the way Anya felt imprisoned in mortality. When Whedon finally agreed to kill Anya in the series finale, Caulfield was relieved, grateful for the escape even if it meant her character died violently and unceremoniously. Years later, Caulfield softened her stance, acknowledging that Anya gave her opportunities she wouldn't have had otherwise, that fans' love for the character meant something even if she struggled to love it herself. But during filming, it was torture, an actress giving brilliant performances in a role she desperately wanted to quit. Number 5. The Body was filmed. In complete silence with no music.
I'm here. I don't know what's going on.
The Body, Season 5, Episode 16, is considered one of television's greatest episodes. It's also one of the most punishing viewing experiences ever created. When Buffy discovers her mother, Joyce, dead from a brain aneurysm, Whedon made a choice that terrified the network. No music, no score, no comforting soundtrack to guide emotions or soften the blow. Just silence, broken only by dialogue and ambient sound, the brutal reality of death presented without artistic cushioning. The episode was based on Whedon's own experience losing his mother, grief channeled into art that refused to make death beautiful or meaningful. Joyce's death wasn't heroic or narratively satisfying. It was random and unfair and meaningless, exactly like real death. Filming was devastating for everyone involved. Sarah Michelle Gellar had to perform Buffy's breakdown repeatedly, reliving trauma take after take until she was emotionally shattered. Christine Sutherland, who played Joyce, lay on the floor for hours pretending to be a corpse while her television family mourned around her. The silence made everything worse, every sound amplified, every breath and sob and footstep echoing through scenes. No music meant no escape, no emotional release, just suffocating reality pressing down on viewers until they couldn't breathe. When The Body aired, it destroyed audiences, leaving people sobbing and unable to function. Critics called it a masterpiece, but admitted they could never watch it again. Number 4. David Boreanaz and Sarah Michelle Gellar couldn't stand each other.
Say, I'm a friend.
I think the idea is wonderful, but it's incredibly scary to be split up from each other because we've always had that sort of...
On screen, Buffy and Angel were television's greatest tragic romance. Star-crossed lovers whose chemistry burned through the screen. Off-screen, Sarah Michelle Gellar and David Boreanaz barely spoke to each other. The tension started early, personality conflicts that festered into genuine dislike. Gellar was disciplined and professional, arriving early, knowing her lines perfectly, frustrated by anything less than total commitment. Boreanaz was laid back and casual, joking around between takes, not taking the work as seriously as Gellar thought he should. She saw him as unprofessional. He saw her as uptight. Their mutual irritation became an open secret on set, cast, and crew, learning to keep them separated when cameras weren't rolling. Directors had to carefully manage their scenes together, getting what they needed quickly before the tension erupted into argument. What made it bearable was their professionalism. Both understood that their personal feelings couldn't interfere with the work, that Buffy and Angel's relationship was too important to sabotage with ego. So, they showed up, delivered the chemistry audiences demanded, then retreated to opposite corners until the next scene required them to pretend they loved each other. When Boreanaz left for the Angel spinoff, both actors were relieved, the physical separation making their limited interactions easier to manage. Years later, they've softened slightly, acknowledging each other's talent if not friendship. But during Buffy's run, it was Cold War, two stars orbiting each other with careful distance. Number 3. Eliza Dushku's Faith was supposed to replace Buffy.
Turning into cold-blooded, straight-up killer.
Rebellious and morally ambiguous, embodying the idea that female characters...
When Eliza Dushku joined Buffy as Faith, the rogue slayer who embraced violence and sexuality without guilt, the network saw opportunity. Faith was edgier than Buffy, more dangerous, more aligned with what WBU executives thought younger audiences wanted. Behind the scenes, they started developing plans to replace Sarah Michelle Gellar with Dushku, either by killing Buffy and making Faith the Soul Slayer, or by spinning Faith off into her own series and gradually shifting focus away from the original show. Whedon was approached with both ideas and rejected them furiously. Buffy was his show, his creation, and replacing her betrayed everything the series stood for. The network pushed anyway, offering Dushku development deals, floating concepts for faith-centered shows, trying to create leverage to force Whedon's hand. Dushku herself was conflicted, loving Faith, but uncomfortable with the idea of replacing Gellar, who'd welcomed her and treated her with respect, despite the network's machinations. The Faith replacement plan died when Gellar's contract negotiations concluded successfully, and Whedon made it clear he'd quit rather than continue without his lead actress. But the damage lingered, Gellar knowing the network had actively tried to replace her, Dushku aware that her presence had been used as a weapon against a colleague. Faith remained a recurring character instead of becoming a lead, appearing sporadically across Buffy and Angel, but never getting the spotlight the network once envisioned.
Well, it stops now. No, it doesn't stop. It never stops. Do you think I chose to be like this?
It's so incredibly overwhelming, the outpouring that I've seen over the last week. And while the announcement itself might have been a little premature because we're...
7 seasons, 144 episodes, thousands of fight scenes. Sarah Michelle Gellar gave everything to Buffy Summers, and by season 7 she had nothing left. The physical toll was catastrophic, her body broken from years of stunt work and fight choreography, injuries that would plague her for the rest of her life. But worse than the physical damage was the mental exhaustion. 7 years of 18-hour days, of carrying an entire show on her shoulders, of being Buffy Summers every waking moment. When Gellar announced she was leaving after season 7, Whedon begged her to reconsider, offering more money, reduced workload, anything to keep the show alive. Gellar refused. She was done, completely and irrevocably finished with a role that had defined and consumed her 20s. The network explored continuing without her, maybe following the activated Slayers from the finale, or focusing on different characters. Whedon shut it down, insisting that Buffy the Vampire Slayer couldn't exist without Buffy. So the show ended, not because the stories were finished or ratings had declined, but because the actress who made it possible had reached her limit and chose herself over the machine. Gellar's decision was brave and necessary, a refusal to sacrifice her health and sanity for a television show, even one she loved. But it also meant Buffy ended while still creatively vibrant, stories left untold, potential unfulfilled, all because one woman finally said enough. And hon är.
I just got thrown at you. I'm so not ready for this.
While you started doing your stuff, and I was like, holy.
It's absolutely bananas to be sitting there watching Emma.
For 2 decades, Joss Whedon was celebrated as a feminist icon, the creator who wrote strong female characters and championed women's voices. The truth was rotting underneath the whole time. Whedon was a tyrant on set, screaming at actors and crew, wielding his power to humiliate and control anyone who challenged him. He played favorites, rewarding loyalty with opportunities and punishing independence with character assassination, both literal and figurative. Cast members who spoke up were written out or sidelined. Crew members who complained were fired. Everyone knew, but nobody could speak because Whedon's power was absolute and his reputation was bulletproof. Charisma Carpenter's 2021 statement finally cracked the dam. She described years of abuse, Whedon's cruelty when she got pregnant, his vindictiveness when she didn't apologize for having a life outside its show. Then others joined her. Michelle Trachtenberg revealed the rule prohibiting Whedon from being alone with her. Sarah Michelle Gellar released a statement saying she didn't want to be associated with Whedon anymore. The man who built his career on feminist credentials was exposed as an abuser who wielded feminism as a weapon to avoid accountability. Every empowering speech Buffy delivered became tainted by the knowledge that the man writing those words was terrorizing the woman speaking them. Whedon's fall was spectacular and total. His reputation destroyed, his projects canceled, his legacy forever compromised. Buffy the Vampire Slayer remains brilliant, but it's impossible to watch now without seeing the abuse baked into every frame. Buffy the Vampire Slayer didn't just fight monsters. It changed television forever, proved that teen shows could be profound, that genre fiction could tackle real issues, that one girl could save the world if you gave her the chance. But behind the empowerment and the witty dialogue, there was darkness. Abuse hidden behind feminist rhetoric, careers destroyed by ego and cruelty. If you love discovering these secrets, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which facts shocked you most. Because in a world of ordinary shows, only one dared to make a teenage girl into a revolutionary, even if the revolution was more complicated than anyone wanted to admit. In every generation, there is a chosen one. And sometimes the truth is harder than any demon.